Just when I thought that we could escape for one day from the YouTube drama, for one day, they pull me back in. They pull me back in. I was going to try and tell a more fun story today, but nope, we are back with the advertising MrBeast situation, and we are going to go over a member of MrBeast's team's response to the video that I talked about yesterday by Dogpack404, which accuses MrBeast of being a fraud. Now, this is a pretty big moment for the MrBeast team. This is the first time they've responded to the incident since the Ava Tyson situation first came out in their first response to the fraud allegations. And I gotta say, it doesn't really hold up. But before I give any more judgment, let's at least give Chucky here a chance to speak. So Chucky says, I quickly want to debunk some of the info in this video since the guy who made it was on my team. It was my decision to fire him for erratic behavior. He worked at the company for less than a month and wasn't an employee for most of the videos he mentions to have knowledge on. There's so much in his video, and I want to specifically address him saying our videos are fake or staged because this is not true, and I was on set for many of these videos. Now, I want to say that Dogpack404 did make a follow-up response to this tweet, and I'm going to be putting that in at various points where it lines up with this tweet, and this first case is an example where Dogpack404 says, and basically what is sort of troubling to me about this opening statement is so much is unclear. What does erratic behavior mean? If you'll remember, that's actually the exact same thing that Lava said Nathan was being accused of when that whole situation was going on with Ava Tyson. For those of you unaware, those were the two Discord moderators. One defended Ava Tyson, the other was accusing Ava Tyson, and the one that was defending Ava Tyson said that Nathan had erratic behavior, and then later backtracked that statement. So it's kind of weird to use this same exact terminology without actually specifying what's going on. And secondly, I just want to say right off the rip here, because obviously this is the biggest problem with this statement, is that none of the actual claims are addressed. None of the work was put in to address the major claims. So just to have a sort of frame of reference for going on from here, the major claims against MrBeast at this point are that he A, fakes his video, B, manipulates his young audience using different tactics such as giveaways, C, that those tactics are illegal, such as the illegal giveaways, illegal lotteries, and D, majorly, that he was aware to some extent of the Ava Tyson situation. And there were some other claims such as the chocolate being marketed as healthy and then becoming unhealthy over time, or it was always unhealthy. I don't want to touch on those now. Those are the main points. So it's up to Chucky here, our boy Chucky, to respond. And first of all, I don't know why you would have somebody who's listed on LinkedIn as an executive do this. He claims he's part of the team, maybe PR, unclear. I don't know why you wouldn't just have some sort of more official representation on this from the MrBeast team. This is definitely a crisis that's much more serious than some random guy as part of your executive team responding on Twitter. But that's just my thoughts. Again, we're going to have to determine through this tweet, does he actually respond to the major claims? And let's go right in on the first point. Quote, you won't get in a video unless you're friends or family with someone that works at Beast, end quote. So Chucky responds, this is a wild statement that can easily be proven wrong. There's probably hundreds or thousands of people who have no affiliation to friends and family of Beast employees. Think the 456 people in Squid Game or ages 1 to 100, etc. Jimmy doesn't know more than like a dozen people, lol. Now, I just want to say, after listening to that statement and the follow-up from Dogpack404, yeah, obviously MrBeast knows more people. And Chucky's going to talk about this more, the idea of replacing people with employees due to specific circumstances that just happen to pop up. And look, I will say, I think this is definitely one of the weaker points for Dogpack404, simply because, of course, the videos contain some people that aren't subscribers, or maybe not even necessarily subscribers, that aren't friends and family. But the point is, how many people are actually not employees or friends and family of employees? What's the actual percentage on that? I'm willing to believe Chucky. I would love to see some actual evidence. So far, this has been a case of he said, she said. But ultimately, the burden in the court of public opinion, at least, is starting to fall on Chucky, and he hasn't really provided any evidence. It's just a tweet. So let's move on to the second quote, though. Quote, the train track was CGI, the bus wheels were CGI, the pit is fake, end quote. So Chucky responds, he acts like he's exposing us using CGI to make backgrounds look cool when we have done multiple public behind-the-scenes videos with So Crispy showing this. It's clearly not a secret. On top of that, we did drive buses in that pit, and same with the train that you claim we didn't. Okay, so this is a bigger claim, and I talked about this in my video yesterday that I was really interested to see how they responded to the accusation about faking videos. And this is what Dogpack404 has to say about that. And honestly, I think that I could probably believe Chucky. You know, I talked about this in yesterday's video. I don't think it's very convincing to just kind of skip over that point and saying it's fake without actually showing some sort of breakdown of how it's faked, maybe even just a frame-by-frame analysis to kind of show how fake it looks when you slow it down. I think this is one of the weaker claims by Dogpack404, especially because I don't really see driving a bus into a pit as being that ridiculous. I mean, I feel like a lot of YouTubers could do that. Maybe the train, you could say, was probably a little harder to do. But again, I don't really see any particular reason to not believe Chucky. But again, there's no receipts provided. There's no proof. It's just a he said, she said, which maybe is the whole point of the statement, is to just kind of muddle this to the point where nobody can actually believe what's going on. So then Chucky just says the raccoon was a paid actor, and he responds, I don't even know what to say about this, clearly not an actor, lol, to which Dogpack404 essentially responds, obviously it was an actor, they're not just petting a wild animal. And honestly, I probably am going to have to give the benefit of the doubt here to Dogpack404, although again, this is kind of what I'm talking about, is that you really don't know who to believe. And that's kind of the problem. And it kind of makes you wonder, is this the whole plan of MrBeast's team? Is it to kind of just make people muddy the waters to the point where they don't even know and they just kind of stop? So moving on to the next quote, island costs more than $1. Not true. We did pay $1 for this island. You can Google MrBeast purchases Outer Banks Island for $1, which stated this before the video was released. Now, I'm going to parlay that right into Dogpack404's response, which is, and that is one of the weakest responses I have ever heard in my life. I think this is probably one of the weakest sections for Dogpack404. I'm not sure why he decided to include this in the video or not. If it was really $27, it sounds like they bought it for $1. And yeah, there were taxes on it and there was a lease back, but like, I don't really think this is a point that he needed to make in the video. I'm not really sure why he made it. But again, it doesn't totally debunk everything else that he talks about. And that's kind of the problem, is that you can even debunk everything in this tweet. Everything in this tweet could be true, and it doesn't really help MrBeast at all. So the next quote's talking about Mac, and he says, quote, he moved into a mansion 2 months before being in a video, $1 million mansion, end quote. So Chucky responds, he talks about how 2 months before we filmed the first Mac video, they moved into a mansion. Mac was staying at a friend's house, and I'm not sure how that proves anything or why that's relevant. What it's trying to prove is that MrBeast is kind of lying about, number one, who can be in videos, who gets to be in videos, and also the people that are in videos for the sake of building a story. The idea is that Mac is this guy down on his luck, and people are saying, no, he's actually an employee, an editor for MrBeast. And you saying that he moved and was staying in a friend's house, I'm not really sure if that means he was staying there just for the video or if he moved there and was staying there. Either way, I don't think that's really a defense. That's not really a denial that he was working for MrBeast at all. And that is relevant because people want to know. I mean, honestly, I thought this was one of the weaker points because I thought it was pretty clear that Mac was probably good friends with MrBeast at the very least, considering he worked with Eric for years. But, you know, again, it's just something to keep in mind. So then there's this couple quotes, and I'll just read the two of them back to back. Quote, the swank was added in post, and then the revenge storyline was added in post. So Chucky responds, bruh, he really did wink. This is a flat out lie again. He implies 42 and 58 were scripted and not real. The contestants themselves have talked about this on streams they did after the video. They legit did not like each other. He also claimed 58 was on the far opposite side and didn't hear him. Just because he was on the other side of the room, you don't think 58 heard him yell? How on earth would he know? And, honestly, that is a fair point. I will say I've seen other people saying that it was an educated guess. But, when you look at this, and I'll put Dogpack 404's response right here while I'm talking. When you look at this situation, it really is just kind of a who do you believe more, who's more convincing. Honestly, it's a toss-up for me right now on this point. And I'm also not super invested in the revenge storyline. I'm not even gonna lie, and I think I would probably not be alone in saying that most people that are following this on Twitter probably don't care that much about the specifics of the storyline. But again, it's just the idea of, was this real? Is MrBeast a real channel? Because let's be real, that's what YouTube is. That's what YouTube's supposed to be. I think the bigger points that's lost here with the whole, does he use CGI? Is it fake? Is not that, he definitely does this. Like, we've already talked about this. The whole problem is that MrBeast has said in the past that everything is real. And the reason he says that is because YouTube is supposed to be a real, authentic platform. And I think he knows in his mind that people don't necessarily want to watch stuff that's not real. They can watch TV shows that are better. Let's be honest. But anyways, I'm getting far too worked up. Let's move on to the next quote. This one's pretty long. Quote, not only were the results of this video completely scripted, but the contestants are not random subscribers, end quote. This is talking about the 100 boys versus 100 girls video, and this is what Chucky has to say. He says, he claims our 100 boys versus 100 girls videos is scripted, and the proof is a random text saying it. That's it. It was not scripted. Jimmy probably had countless people on set for that video, and it would have been impossible to hide. This video was not scripted. I was on set for this, and there was no bias for who won. He also implies the video is fake because we have some employees on each team. The employees in the video were there to fill in for people who tested positive for the virus last minute right before filming. Thea, Jimmy's girlfriend, mentioned this on a podcast over a year ago. If it wasn't for the virus, they would not have been in it. They had the same money on the line as everyone else. Some random text of someone thinking it was rigged doesn't mean it was rigged, lol. He also suggested the real-time video was fake. This is not fake. It was a nightmare to make this video, and it was legit filmed in 10 minutes. So again, on the last point, there's just no receipts provided. Again, do I necessarily think that makes a huge deal? Maybe, it would be nice to see them talk about that. I really think, though, that, the 10-minute real-time video wasn't a huge point, and I think that's kind of the problem everybody in the comments is having with this response, is that they take little snippets from a 53-minute video and make that a big deal, as if debunking this point totally nullifies everything that has been talked about with MrBeast, and that's just not the case. I will admit that it isn't great because it almost seems like there was padding going on to make it a bigger deal. Not a bigger deal, but, sort of bring more accusations to light that honestly didn't need to be there. I mean, we have allegations of grooming going on. I'm not entirely sure why this 10-minute video thing was so important, but now it's being used as ammunition by Chucky. But either way, this is Dogpack 404's response to the 100 boys versus 100 girls video. And I will say, as a personal response to that yeah, like, if you have employees that are in it, it doesn't matter if they have the same money on the line, quote unquote. They're employees of MrBeast. They don't actually care. They're getting paid either way to just be on the job. And also, there was other evidence provided, such as MrBeast paying $10,000 for somebody to leave, which that was one of the people that could solve the Rubik's Cube challenge, which was critical for the challenge. So that's a clear bias, somewhat clear rigging. Also, just paying somebody to leave is an example that was shown in the video, which proves that it wasn't just a random text. Anyways, moving on to probably the biggest point, the largest part of the video anyways, by Dogpack 404, is the fake giveaways. So quote, also, I think some of the MrBeast giveaways are fake, end quote, which, by the way, I don't think the word was think. There was pretty clear evidence throughout. But anyways, here's the response. We do not fake giveaways. I have been hands-on with some of them and have personally been the person to connect winners with our accounting department to get paid. You also suggested we didn't spend $1 million on Samsung phones, and I can assure you we did. Another lie from you. So that's the end of that. And here's Dogpacks404's response to that. And I have to say that on this point, the evidence is pretty cut and dry. This little thing about the $1 million on Samsung's phone, again, if that's true, I'm not sure why Dogpack404 even brought that up in the video, because there's so much evidence even on camera that shows there are illegal lotteries going on and illegal giveaways cited by the law in the video. So this response does nothing to debunk that. There's nothing in this response that actually debunks any of the other valid claims. They also don't talk about the chocolate being maliciously marketed, if you want to call it that, as being healthy, and then having it be just as unhealthy as every other chocolate. So I think in this aspect, it was a complete failure by Chucky. I'll read the rest of his response right now. Quote, I could keep going, but I don't want this to be too long. Dawson himself said on Reddit that he was on shrooms and weed when filming this video, which might explain some of the stuff that was made up. Dawson was only employed from March 25th, 2024 and was let go on April 19th, 2024. He was on a 90-day trial and we ended it early and paid him out to June 25th as we could guaranteed the 90 days of pay so he could transition into a new job. I'd appreciate if everyone reading this could help dispel all the fake rumors by spreading the info. Jimmy spends unfathomable amounts of money and time to ensure the integrity of what he does, and I hate to see it come into question with a bunch of lies. Dawson, if you leave this up, then you're a hypocrite. Well, what a response. This is Dawson's response to that really quick. And so, yeah, I will say, I would love some more clarification on the timeline, especially on Dawson's employment, since now they've said his name in the public eye. And I will say, though, this is going to sound crazy. On the Reddit post that is mentioned where it's claimed that Dawson said he was on shrooms and weed when filming the video, I don't get why he said that. You know, I get it's a joke. I know he said it's a joke, but like, what do you stand to gain from saying that? You know, you kind of do just feed your enemy ammunition. And of course, it doesn't debunk anything you said, but it's just a strange thing to say. We've come into this several times, which is why I'm a little bit skeptical, where people see an opportunity, maybe they have some loose connection, and they dogpile on a creator. And I'm not sure that that's what's happening, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility that some of these claims are more malicious than we thought. And I would love to see more info come out about the actual employment history, because Dawson claims he was doing this investigation for a year. So did he start this investigation before he worked at MrBeast, which would mean that he went there employed looking to find dirt? Or did he do this afterwards, in which case he really only had about a few months by his best estimate for what he was doing? Either way, to sum it all up, this video does nothing to dispel the main allegations of the illegal lotteries, which I think is the biggest one, besides, of course, the even bigger point, the grooming, where people are talking about how MrBeast was in the Discord servers, had knowledge of the Shadman incidents going on, and that's probably the biggest problem. And there was no response to that. Of course there wasn't, because this is not an official representative making an official statement. This is somebody that maybe works in the PR team making a statement, probably with the approval of MrBeast. But until we have an actual statement on MrBeast platforms, I can't really say that this is something that I take incredible stock in. It's more of just a he said, she said, and not enough was done in this response to debunk any of the claims. Personally, I feel like this just puts MrBeast in a worse light because of the half-baked response, but that's just my thoughts on it. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get to talk about something else. Have a great day, everybody.